Thank you for making it. Okay, for those of you who are already seated and are walking in, please come towards the front. I promise it won't be too scary. If you're in the front row, there's a fan for you with my blessing. Please use it. It looks awfully charming, and I think you'll enjoy the experience. Okay, well, without further ado, welcome to the 17th edition of the Emirates Airline Festival of Literature. It is my honor to celebrate the 250th anniversary of one of the most beloved novelists, not only in England, but in the whole world. If you think this session is academic or historical, you are mistaken. It is entirely personalized, whimsical, and you might be laughing more than you think. That is intentional. So this is about my journey with Jane. As you can tell, that's a little selfie taken in Bath with her life-sized waxwork figure. But first, who was Jane Austen? Let's trying the clicker out. Okay, should I press it again? Okay, oh no, okay. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. Now, if that isn't social satire at its finest, it's not meant to be taken in earnest. And of course, I'm sure all of you must have heard of this. Is there anyone here who hasn't read this before? And if you haven't, I'm delighted to welcome you. I am not going to go into deep detail or about any literary complexities at all. Yes, you young man, is this the first time? Amazing, great. So the whole point of this is just to sort of celebrate together, have a laugh, and see what's going on in the world of the Jane-averse. All right. Jane was born in 1775 in Steventon, Hampshire, England, the seventh of 8 children, the daughter of a clergyman. Jane wrote 6 completed novels: Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, Mansfield Park, Northanger Abbey, and Persuasion. She also wrote Love and Friendship, a collection of letters, and began writing The Watsons. Her very last, Sanditon, remained unfinished as she died while writing it at the age of 41. Now, you can obviously tell I'm a brown person. I'm a bit of a coconut as well, of course. But you're like, why is this lady so fascinated by, this white woman from 250 years ago? I know it's weird, right? No, it's not that weird. I take ownership. So Regency England, there was a East India Company at the time, there was the British Raj, and I'm from the Indo-Pak subcontinent. And Warren Hastings, the first Governor General of the region, actually had a love child named Eliza. Now, Eliza went on, she took on as her second husband, Jane Austen's brother, who then published her first novel with her inheritance from the Indo-Pak subcontinent. So yes, I have ownership as well. And honestly, I don't see her as just, a color or a race. She's so universally appealing. And if you've read some of her books or even watched adaptations or seen some memes, you'll know why. And we're going to be sharing some of those memes here today. A little bit more about her. She published anonymously, and remember, this was 2 centuries ago, more than 2 centuries ago. Her books were credited by a lady. She wrote on small scraps of paper around the house. Every time there was a visitor, she would hide them. She wrote on a really tiny writing desk. As you know, she used a quill. She began writing when she was a child. Her juvenilia is also available to read. And her first draft of Pride and Prejudice. Does anyone know what it was originally called? Yay! First impressions. That is right, Sarah. Okay, she was so popular in fashionable circles that the Prince Regent of the time, who was a bit of a profligate, and he was often in debt for his, he was very fashionable, but he was in heavy debt and later became George IV. He demanded that her next novel be dedicated to him. Now, Jane wasn't very happy about this because she preferred his estranged wife, Caroline of Brunswick. She had empathy for her, but she had to do what she had to do, so the novel Emma is dedicated to the Prince Regent. Or was he George IV at the time? If you want to know a lot about Jane Austen, just turn to Google. Okay, I am not that kind of expert. I'm just going to give you anecdotes and trivia. I forgot to bring my 10-pound note. It's in my wallet. But I do carry it around. So she is the face of the 10-pound note. There is a quote here. Does anyone know about this quote? We're going to come back to that quote later. And you can impress people when you're in Britain, or, if you happen to have a cash on you instead of a credit card, you can talk about that quote. And you can tell them, you know what, I'm smarter than the Bank of England because this quote was misquoted. Well, not misquoted, but the context. You'll discover it. I'll tell you in a bit. Her novels, why do we admire them? They're about love, yes, but they're also about money, class, family, the struggle for independence, the struggle for young women to find a voice. Her heroines are flawed, they're relatable, they're fiercely human. Elizabeth Bennet's wit, Emma Woodhouse's growth, Anne Elliot's quiet resilience resonates across cultures and across centuries. That's why we're here today. Her character, her comedy, her nuanced social critiques, we just keep going back to them. We keep adapting her works. I founded a Jane Austen Society years and years ago, and everywhere I live in the world, I carry it on, and it's become bigger and bigger, and now I call it the Jane Austen Society MENAP, which is Middle East, North Africa, Pakistan. Anyway, so you're most welcome to join at any time, but there is a Jane Austen universe out there. There are societies all over the world, Brazil, Korea, Italy, you name it. I would say, actually, I don't know how many countries. North America alone has 40. Jane Austen was a feminist before the term existed. She critiqued the limited options available to women, which was marriage and spinsterhood at the time. And for a lot of us in the global south, the Middle East, South Asia, Muslim countries, we still relate to that. Their economic dependence came with who they married, if they married well, yes, careers as well, but everything depended a great deal upon familial approval. Now we're going to watch this video, not the entire thing, but just enough to give you a little dose of banter and the original slow burn. You start off with a little bit of hate, it moves on to love, and this is your template for the modern romantic comedy. Could we please go to the beginning of the video with some sound?
Half a dozen would satisfy my notion of an accomplished woman.
Certainly. No woman can be really esteemed accomplished who does not also possess a certain something in her air, in the manner of walking, in the tone of her voice, her address and expressions.
And to all this, she must yet add something more substantial. In the improvement of her mind by extensive reading.
I'm no longer surprised at you knowing only 6 accomplished women, Mr. Darcy. I rather wonder at you knowing any. You are very severe upon your sex, Miss Bennet. Will you not join us, Mr. Darcy?
That would defeat the object.
What do you mean, sir? What on earth do you mean? Would you better not to inquire? May we insist on knowing your meaning, sir?
Why, that your figures appear to best advantage when walking, and that I might best admire them from my present position.
Shocking, abominable reply. How shall we punish him, Mr. Laaleen? Nothing so easy. Teasing. Laugh at him. Laugh, Mr. Darcy. Impossible. He is a man without fault. Is he indeed? A man without fault.
That is not possible for anyone. But it has been my study to avoid those weaknesses which expose a strong understanding to ridicule.
Such.
I know, we could just go on all day. 1995, BBC, the Pride and Prejudice series that caused a frenzy worldwide, also led to Darcy fever. Show of hands if you know what Darcy fever is. Okay, so there are some people who don't. I will acquaint you. It was the original pandemic. So there is a scene in this series, which was not in Jane Austen's novels, but Andrew Davis, the screenwriter, popped it in, and it was designed to sort of make you want to unfurl your fan, and, you know, it made you feel a trifle heated because he jumped in a lake and emerged quite, you know, un-Darcy-like. And yes, so this white sweatshirt phenomenon carried over into many other screen adaptations, including Bridget Jones, where Colin Firth plays Mark Darcy, which is a very postmodern sort of way of Darcying it up. And I could go on, but I think I will leave the Darcy talk for another day. So I had mentioned right before this that Austen talks about things that are not particularly romantic in her novels, such as the economic dependence of women on the men that they married, the families they were born into. And those are social realities that she talks about, which are very relatable even today. In Sense and Sensibility, the Dashwood sisters lose all their money to their half-brother after the death of their father. They had to marry well just to survive. Versus in Emma, handsome, clever, and rich Emma Woodhouse did not feel pressured to marry as she was an heiress. We're gonna just, yeah, there we go. So this was one of our earlier teas. Wait, how did it just skip when I did, oh, you did it, okay. Great, no wonder people were smiling at me. Okay, so yeah, we do a little cosplay every now and then. This was back in Islamabad, and that's my friend Sanya, who wrote one of the stories in this book that we published. We put these stories together, and our publisher is actually sitting over here as well, Faiza. It's all her fault. That's why I'm here, sorry guys. So yeah, I actually enjoy the villains, you know, Caroline Bingley, and I enjoy the cads as well. Willoughby, Wickham, they're so entertaining. Frank Churchill, but you know, it's also probably a reason why I'm divorced. I don't always have the best, but I've improved a great deal because now I've taken on Emma Woodhouse and I've become a matchmaker. I judge people way better now. So we decided to start this little society, and some of our pictures went viral. We became kind of popular in some circles. This is something I would like to share with you. It is a love letter from Persuasion. Has anyone here read Persuasion? Oh, wow, okay, great. So Captain Wentworth wrote this letter. Spoiler alert, but sorry about that. He wrote this letter to Anne Elliot. This book is about rediscovering love when all hope is gone. And this letter, you pierce my soul. I am half agony, half hope. I spent my whole life waiting for a love letter like this, and then, of course, I realized, okay, it was written by a woman, you're not gonna get it. But just look at these words. Even if you read them today, I think it has the same effect as it did back then. Well, for me, Austen is not just a 19th century English novelist. She's a global phenomenon, and I think for many of you as well. That's why you're here. For me, she's always been there as a friend. I've grown up with her. There's a witty remark, there's a life lesson. My journey with Austen began on my 12th birthday when my Aunt Helen in Hertfordshire got me an omnibus, which is a collection of novels. I was a child growing up with Agatha Christie at the time, and I immediately related to Catherine Morland in Northanger Abbey, who imagines murder and mystery in her life where there is none. I went on to relate to Kitty Bennet, who always used to feel left out. I was a younger sister, a younger cousin, and I always wanted to be included in the family secrets, and so I related to side characters as well, not just main character energy. And then I was at Clark University in Massachusetts, and I worked on postmodern depictions of Englishness through gender in Austen screen adaptations, 1940 to 1995. I know, quite a mouthful. I did not realize she was just going to take over my life. I didn't realize, and I don't look at it like that. She's just part of my life. Now we're going to go on to this famous white shirt phenomenon, which was not in the Pride and Prejudice book, and now you know more than I think the majority of people who think they know Jane Austen. I'm just going to keep jumping to different topics, okay? I hope that's all right. So yes, this is not exactly about Jane Austen. It's about my journey with her, all right? So I'm not going to show you a video of the lake scene. My apologies. But I am going to show you this. I met both the man and the shirt. The shirt was on a global tour. I met the shirt in Washington, D.C. It was then auctioned for twice the amount that it was expected to bring. Yep. Okay. So this is one of our first BBC News videos, which I look quite silly and crazy and eccentric, and I no longer care. I'm going to show you a bit of this. Really? You married Mr. Darcy? This is Lahore, Pakistan. Oh my God, you guys. I'm Laaleen. I'm the founder of the Jane Austen Society of Pakistan. It started off as a Facebook page, and then we had a dress-up tea, super eccentric, super quirky, and it was just so much fun. There was no looking back. So hands folded in front is a very Regency pose, ladies. Let's do another hands clasped in the front. We discuss things and we analyze things. We draw parallels to our own lives and the society around us, and we see Mr. Collins and Mr. Elton. We see Mr. Wickham and Willoughby. We don't really see Mr. Darcy very much. We would love to.
For Lizzie, overcoming prejudice in her life was the biggest hurdle that she overcame.
Yeah, it's very easy for us, in the Commonwealth and with our post-colonial legacy to sort of draw parallels between the Regency era 200 years ago and our society here in South Asia right now. And it's always very amusing and entertaining, but then there's a dark side to it as well. I mean, misogyny and the hypocrisy and keeping up appearances.
I'm also married to Mr. Bennett.
Oh, yes, Mr.
Sometimes he may have not Mr. Collins too. That's very interesting. That's for.
We still have a lot of similarities with 200 years ago England. And that's basically, especially for women, our sphere is limited. The power we have over our own lives is limited. Our financial independence is limited. Do I need to go on more? Marriage mart, it's the same here. It's over a tea trolley. Literally, the girl is expected to pour tea as the in-laws are sitting, and how she pours the tea and how she hands the cups and all of those things are very. She has to be demure. She has to be domestic. That's Regency England, isn't it?
That's why she's so popular in Pakistan. It's a comfort to read Austen. I think that's how we describe it. It is like the greatest comfort
to lose yourself in Austin's works?
1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
go.
They told me this wouldn't be in the thing, in the news, on the news. They not only used it, but they used it twice. This is a country dance I learned in elementary school. Okay, we can stop now. We don't need to see the ad. I'm going to let you read this in the background if you get bored by what I'm saying. So, Austin and the Global South. Parallels with Muslim countries, South Asia, the Arab world, Latin America. I mean, I could go on. Austin's world and our world has striking similarities. The emphasis on family, the pressure to marry well. I mean, who's experienced that? Okay, just me. But okay, the societal expectations placed on women are themes that we know very well. So in Austinistan, this book here, which is a collection of stories, we explore these parallels, like a modern day Emma set in Karachi, or Pride and Prejudice retellings in Lahore and Islamabad with a bit of Surrey thrown in. Austin's stories remind us that these struggles are universal, and they're. And I also want to tell you that there was a message in the beginning about book signings. There will be no book signings because Magrudy's didn't get the book. So if you want, you can take photos here. I've got props for you. You can wear a hat. You can there's fans in the front row. You can do whatever you like, but there's no books available. You have to buy them online if you want them. Okay? So editing Austinistan was a labor of love. It was my way of bringing Austin to a region that understands her themes intimately. People saw themselves in their stories, and they were actually reached a demographic I didn't expect, which was university students all over the world. It's in school libraries, university libraries, even in New Zealand, literally all over the world. It was taught in multiple English courses, and I thought that was really exciting, and I got to completely enjoy myself shamelessly with a book tour, all kinds of things like this today. I mean, you're here, you're listening to me, that's fantastic. I do want to say, if you do end up taking any photos at any point or anything, just tag us. I think the hashtags will be there at some point. So, some more humor for you. Somebody made a cake modeled on Colin Firth as Mr. Darcy. And a journalist friend said, hey, they made you a birthday cake. He didn't know that my friend actually made that birthday cake for me, but it wasn't life-sized. And a little bit more about why South Asians love Jane Austen. So we are going to have a Q&A session after this, which is going to be more about not really Q&A, but I want to ask you all about your insights and your experiences, if that's okay. Like, I would like to ask you questions, or maybe you could share your insights. Yeah. So yes, there we go. More things to laugh about, things that you might find relevant 2 centuries later. The importance of family honor, the tension between tradition and modernity, upper class Pakistan, and this region as well. There's a lot that's relevant for both. Now, her works have been adapted countless times. 1995 saw an Austen explosion. Not only was it the Pride and Prejudice BBC series that I showed you earlier, but there was also Persuasion, a very highly acclaimed adaptation of Persuasion, as well as Sense and Sensibility, directed by Ang Lee, who's Taiwanese. So you can see how international Austen became in 1995. She, during her time, she was very fashionable, but in the Victorian era, which came right after the Regency era, she fell out of fashion. People, authors like Dickens, the Brontes, they were considered the greats of their time, and Austen was just shrugged off. And it was not until World War I that English soldiers started reading Austen in the trenches to remind them of home. And ever since then, she's found popularity again. But the adaptations in 1995 saw this intense global interest in Austen's works on the screen. There was also an Emma in 1996, as well as a Clueless based on Emma at the same time. And if I list all the adaptations now, it's going to take all day, but a quick Google search will tell you there's a Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, there's, oh my goodness, adaptations from all parts of the world. Why does Austen matter today? For one thing, we still relate to her. I mean, look at these memes. It's still happening. We still experience her characters, their situations, their dilemmas, even today. And yeah, so that's Mr. Collins. A lot of us get to experience Mr. Collins who are interested in us rather than Mr. Darcy. But remember, ladies, Mr. Darcy was written by a woman. And he wasn't perfect. He just improved upon acquaintance. He was actually very arrogant and didn't like to dance initially. So a little bit of some of our coverage. This was in the Times, written by a journalist who became my friend, who has passed. So I wanted to dedicate this session to her. Her name was Missy, Melissa van der Kloot. So yes, people got a little bit fascinated, like, who are these kooky ladies and why are they still reading and enjoying Jane Austen all the way there? And I'm like, it's not all the way here. She's one of us. And this is here in the Emirates. We have a Jane Austen Society here as well. So you're most welcome to join. That is our Instagram account. You just have to follow us and, you can come to a tea party or we can come up with something else. So there you go. We are going to now quickly go back to the £10 note. There is a quote there. I declare, after all, there is no enjoyment like reading. Now that is on the £10 note, but do you know who says it? Caroline Bingley says it. Remember the clip we saw? She's saying it, trying to impress Darcy. I declare, after all, there's no enjoyment like reading. I mean, come on, she doesn't even like books. That's Lizzie. She's just trying to sound intellectual and superior. So it's actually satire. And the Bank of England took it in earnest and put it on the £10 note. And now you know much more than a lot of other people, because you can say, oh, that was taken out of context. Yeah, so this is just a bit more of my journey. These are my fellow authors. And I became a matchmaker, which is a bit like Emma Woodhouse, slightly more successful and far more middle-aged. And this is a life lesson I learned recently. Be your own Darcy. Love yourself first. And yes, Jane Austen in Dubai. I did have another video to show. There's a third video, which is, we had a reading in London. And you could enjoy that. But please keep your thoughts, your insights, your questions handy so that we can discuss them. Are you ready to watch it? Should we watch it? Yes, okay, please. It's just a BBC News report. And that same wretched dance clip is in it too.
Jane Austen. Well, now her work has inspired a group of women from Pakistan to put together a series of short stories called Austenistan. Our correspondent Shahan Mahmood reports.
A traditional English tea at the Dorchester Hotel in London, organised by women from the Jane Austen Society of Pakistan, which has over 1,000 members. They feel the themes of Jane Austen are very relevant to Pakistani women today.
A lot of times it is still considered a man's world. Austen actually wrote a great deal about reality and financial reality. And if you look at life in Pakistan today, it's very, very similar. Women have very limited financial emancipation, and because of that reason, people feel like they can control the women in their family.
So inspired by stories from 19th century England, they've now decided to write their own novel.
The ladies are in London to launch their book called Austenistan. It's a collection of short stories inspired by the English writer, but based on their experiences of Pakistani life.
Nida read a passage from her own story.
Actually, was only her younger sister hadn't taken her with. And so as a girl, all of her memories were slipping inside her. She had been painstakingly useful. Anyone who's read Jane Austen and lives in Pakistan knows the weddings and the marriage market, this obsession with who, a girl is going to marry and is she going to marry a classic guy.
1, 2, 3, go.
A literary group which was set up 2 years ago regularly meet in cities across Pakistan, sometimes wearing clothes from Jane Austen's time. Through their activities and the sale of the book, the women hope to raise money for children's education in Pakistan.
They very cleverly take themes and characters from Jane Austen's work and then are showing how they're just so relevant today in a culture which of course is 200 years different but in many ways has similarities.
It's unlikely Jane Austen could have predicted her books would still be making an impact such a long way from home, more than 200 years after her death. Shabna Mahmood, BBC News.
Okay, we're done.
Let's see if we
He's
can...
going to talk about the weather. Okay. Okay, well, I'm so sorry it wasn't that much about Jane Austen, but it was about what she means to me, and I think to a lot of you here. There's so much more I could have said. I just had to pick a few things. I would like to open the floor for comments, questions, your own insight. But more than that, just a little final thought. Her settings, 250 years later, Jane Austen's settings, characterizations, narratives, they remind us of the enduring power of love, the importance of self-respect, the value of a well-timed, witty remark, and finding your voice. 250 years on, she's still making us laugh, think, and fall in love. Here's to the next 250 years.